I survived 100 days of hardcore better Minecraft. What better way to celebrate 100k subs than to play one of the most popular and most downloaded mod packs for Minecraft ever. Better Minecraft takes everything we love about vanilla Minecraft and adds everything you've always wished was a part of Minecraft. Better worlds, better blocks, better bosses, better ingredients, better pizza, better TheCaptainsTV. But seriously, this mod pack made me fall in love with Minecraft all over again. And I hope that all 100k of my subs fall in love with this mod pack with me. I even have a little surprise to celebrate my subs on day 40, so make sure to stick around and check that out. But first, let's get to the fourth attempt of my 100 days of better Minecraft. Yeah, you heard that right. Those struggles at the start are pretty real. Don't let this bright, vibrant, beautiful sunrise in this pink forest fool you. This mod pack has some tricks in store for us. It's not all bad though. It also has some massive dungeons all over, even right at the spawn. This huge sandcastle looks so cool. I can't even help myself. I really want to go check it out. But then I remember why we're on the fourth attempt. It's because of dungeons like these. They're no joke, and we need to start out a little more carefully right here. And of course, even with all these new modded blocks, we grab birch. Still, at this point right here, I made a conscious decision. I'm only going to be using better Minecraft blocks in all of my builds. Also, I'm going to be using this, my quest book, and starting off with the tutorial. And yes, I am skipping through it. Did I mention we're on the fourth attempt here? The tutorial gives us a heart charm, which is basically like a totem of the undying. And in better Minecraft, you can wear it around your necklace so it doesn't occupy your offhand the entire game. So it's a good start. Speaking of good start, I really like the biome we spawned in, with these blue trees and these pink leaves, and they give you free apples when you cut them down. And in better Minecraft, you only need one chop to take out an entire tree. Pretty strong. Has anybody been drug testing Steve over here? While I do really like those trees, I'm actually not a fan of this spawn location. It's got too many of them, and too many dungeons too. Like for real, I find this medium-sized temple right here, and I've seen this before on my old attempts. It's full of armored skellies, so let's keep it moving. I then stumble into a third structure right away, right next to the castle here. It's a cozy little house with an annoying little mob, the Illusioner. He blinds me right away. I back off, I eat, and I heal. And then I get ready to axe him nicely if he'll just die, but he rudely continues to live. See, the thing about better Minecraft is that it's so tempting to run off to all of these cool structures and buildings in the world. But a lot of them are just too dangerous for you to go into at the start. It's still Minecraft after all, so we're going to have to do a little bit of mining and a little bit of crafting. I hope a stone sword is good enough. After all, he's pretty hurt, and he's stuck in the spiderweb too. As soon as he's dealt with, we get ourselves a pretty good reward right away. Power 2 punch bow and some arrows. This is a super lucky start. Honestly, with all these gun mods I've been using recently, it'll be nice to get back to basics and be using the old powered bows. On top of that, we get some Emmys and enough string from all the spiderwebs to make a sleeping bag. Sleeping bags don't set your spawn point like beds do, but I'm in hardcore, so that's not really going to bug me. What does bug me is seeing this poor little villager out here in the cold. I invite her in, but I do warn her I'm saving myself till day 69, so she's going to have to sleep on the floor. What a gentleman I am. Day 2, and we welcome this little villager into her new home. I'm already saving this world one villager at a time. Now that we have a decent bow, I decide to check out the sandcastle and see how bad it really is. So I dig my way up, and I look inside, and yeah, it's pretty big. But I already see a spawner dead center, and it's really dark in here. Dead center. Maybe I should choose my words more wisely. Either way, I'm not going for attempt number 5, so let's come back to this at the end of the playthrough and see if we can't take it on. I run on the ice to go a little bit faster, and I guess the ice breaks if you jump on it. I've got to be careful. Well, I don't want to end up like the folks on the Titanic, so I'm going to head back to dry land in this super colorful Skyrus Vale. This biome, and well, most biomes in better Minecraft, are peak aesthetic. Like, look how rich and vibrant all the colors are. Speaking of rich, let's get some loot, starting, of course, with iron. Then we grab a little bit of coal, and then we grab some sleep, the most valuable resource of all. Nah, sleep is for the weak. We wake up and breathe in those beautiful god rays. Then we pick some flowers. Turns out, in better Minecraft, crops just grow out in the wild. So we managed to score ourselves some quick taters for free. Then we run back out onto the ice. I run around and jump towards these blue trees. They turn out to be spruce. Gorgeous, I'm not gonna lie. But like I said, I don't really want to use vanilla blocks. even spruce. What I really don't want, though, is to become a Shamu snack. Yeah, I almost peed myself right there. Then I came across this little house, and I heard that battle horn blare. Now I'm really peeing myself. Better Minecraft has a ton of new pillager types, too. These hunters move a lot faster, too. They could melee or rain, but with this bow and the ice helping to keep them away, I can take care of them pretty quickly. Up inside the attic of their cozy little cottages, I find some food. I guess they were pretty good hunters after all. Then, just as the day is ending, we run back outside and try to find ourselves a good place to sleep. Then on the horizon, I see these really cool red trees, and I think that these might be redwoods. But then I remember that's not how redwoods work. Still, they look pretty cool. I'm looking around to see if this is a good place to make our home. First off, the battle tower, that has me hooked. I've seen these in other YouTube videos, and I really want to fight my way through one. So at the very least, we should make a little base camp here and get geared up to fight whatever's up there. Day 4, and as the sun rises, I see these huge stone pillars up to the sky, but soon I see that this is actually its own biome. Finally, I see this spawner. This sold me. This is the area I'm going to make my home. I set up some torches because I'm going to save this and I'm going to make it a spawner XP farm. Not to mention this view right here. I really can't express how every turn in this world is like the adventures I had as a little kid when I first played Minecraft. There's so much wonder and mystery everywhere I look. Speaking of wonder, I see this open field in the middle of the forest right next to the tower. And yeah, this is going to be home. So we get ourselves a ton of storage first. I don't know what each block does in this mod pack, so I'm going to be doing a ton of rat packing and holding on to everything that I find. And speaking of new blocks, I run out to plant all those skyrus trees out on the beach. I then craft up an iron axe and get ready to harvest said trees, and then I head to bed while they're growing. This kind of looks like a little greenhouse. I like it. I might make one myself. Day 5, and I wake up in the middle of a beehive. You know what? On second thought, I think I'll just leave this flower right here. I wake up, and I take a little bit of time today to go and see if there isn't a better place to put my base. In these stone pillars seems pretty cool, and then there's a beach, which seems great. I am a captain after all. But I'm still in love with that forest clearing. I do take a minute to swim up the sides of one of these stone pillars. I gotta see how tall these things really are. Then I block my way up to the very top, and yeah, I mean, look at this. These things are taller than my render distance. There are even pillars on the horizon that are taller than the one I'm on. This is pretty cool, but yeah, it's not a great place to live, so might as well end it all. The water broke my fall. Oh well, guess we'll have to play the rest of these 95 days. And the place that we're going to be spending the rest of those 95 days will be right here. Right next to these two bison fighting. Or maybe they're kissing? Ah well, either way, it's kinky, and I like it. So let's get to building. I start out with this blue wood, because how often do you get to build with blue wood? But yeah, I will admit it doesn't quite look right. I decide to use the Zelkova wood, which is a rich, rustic-looking oak-like wood. And well, it's kind of a better version of oak if we're being honest. Then I try to use the blue planks in the middle, but again, still no good. So I cut all these up, and I try something else. I'm going to be setting out a mini foundation using logs and fences to raise the house just a little bit off the ground. Then, one final time, I try to make the blue wood work, but it's just not happening. Just because something looks super different and unique doesn't necessarily mean it looks good. This creeper agrees and comes to blow me up. I consider staying up later and doing a little more building, but then I think, what if more creepers come? Yeah, I better get some sleep. I then start day 6 and the floor with some Zell slabs, so they're still raised up a little bit. I move the empty chests up a level, and then I move all the loot up to the new chest so I can finish the floor. This build is going to be a very small cottage. No time to build a big mansion. I've got too much exploring to do. A super simple build like this really does bring me back to the very first time I made a house in Minecraft. I'm getting hit with the nostalgia feels pretty hard. This mod pack really is like Minecraft 2.0, and I'm getting the feels just like when I made my first ever Minecraft house. Of course, I'm still going to add the details to make it look like a pro. But before I can do that, we get hit with our first raid. Pillagers roll up on our base, and I can see them before they get to us on the minimap for the first time. I can see up in that minimap that some of the mobs are actually marked on the map, so I can see that there's 4 raiders, and I can see that they're right at my half-built house. I lead them out to the beach, heal, and I use my bow to take them out safely. Then, while I'm out here, I get some more building materials. And I even break our axe. Even though it only takes one chop per tree, it still takes the same durability as in vanilla, so axes are going to go by pretty quickly. Again, more slabs to build out the front porch, or patio, and then we start to get the walls really going. This landscape is too beautiful to hide behind any walls, so I'm making some big windows. I have to do a little bit of tweaking, but pretty quickly I figure out exactly what I like. Just to give myself a little more extra headroom, I use slabs on the roof. Also, it does add a little bit of dimension, I think. Then, we get introduced to a new mob in Better Minecraft, the Lobber Zombie, who I think he pukes rotten flesh onto you. Well, let's kill him before we find out. I grab a little bit more wood, and then I get to see what Zelkovia doors really look like. Not too bad, I like it. Any door that's see-through is a win for me. This next little housemate here, not such a win. Excuse me, I'm not having people over right now. Then, we start to make a really small mine right behind our house, and I grab some coal to make torches to keep all the mobs away. By the time I finally get back up, it's already day 7, and I decide to go right back down. I found an opening to a much bigger cave system, and I head in here instead. By the way, quick question guys, is strip mining kind of no longer the meta in Minecraft now? And speaking of old and useless, this stinky miner shows up, but when he's stuck in the water like this, he's not much of a problem. He does drop our very first diamond, so not too bad. And now that I got my hands on one diamond, I decide to go even deeper and try to get some more. I'm not going to be making a shovel after all. And in this underground lake, I find some cyan terracotta, and this lets me know that there's got to be a dungeon down here. So I head in, and I end up in a place that looks a lot like a burrow from Skyrim. Old tombs full of Draugr, I mean zombies, everywhere, and of course, some loot here and there. Now right away, I start to pop some spawners ASAP. I have decent gear, but this place is loaded with spawners. Now they're only zombies, sure, but they're really starting to pile up. It's getting to look like a Left 4 Dead situation down here. But I keep carefully fighting and breaking as many spawners as I can, and soon I'm starting to make some progress. I find a book, which is for nerds. Luckily, I'm a huge nerd, so this is perfect. And then I find a few stragglers, but I can definitely hear more zombies than just this. I then look down and see that there is a whole second level. Yeah, now there we go. This is actually kind of intimidating, but I can slowly propel myself down like Spider-Man and slap the stink right off these boys. This way I can slowly clear out the floors too. I get a bit too cocky and I break my heart, like my Totem of the Undying. Not like my feelings. That heart was broken long ago. I also get a little bit too tilted, because I go right back in and try to kill the skelly who broke my heart, and I immediately get down to half a heart. Now clearly there's a lesson to be learned here about revenge. I think it might be blindly go after it. Anyway, not sure. We finally managed to get a little bit of gear, which I put on. That's good. I definitely need it. Then we see this new stone block, rhyolite. I like that a lot. With the iron that we've looted from this dungeon, I figure it's time to get a proper sword, pick, and even a bucket, because I'm still pretty tilted about losing that heart. I found some magma blocks, which help me hold my breath while I mine some of this rhyolite. I don't exactly know how magma blocks are supposed to give you air. I mean, is the water supposed to be like boiling? Because that's a whole different bunch of problems right there. You know what? I'm not even going to ask questions. I'd rather get back to mining my rhyolite, and hey, look at this. We finally do get those diamonds. That does make me feel pretty good. Nice and relaxed. I feel like letting my guard down. And yeah, just as I'm feeling cozy, these things are so gross. I was not ready for this to all of a sudden jump me. Honestly, IRL centipedes are like the creepiest bug ever, never mind centipedes that are the size of a Subaru. So after seeing that, I don't care about diamonds anymore. I run right to the surface. Like, no joke, I wasn't scared of dying or losing any in-game loot or starting the 100 days again. I'm dead serious. I was 100% creep factor. I do not want that thing on my computer screen anymore. I have no food, and I don't even really have a bed. So maybe I should just slow down a little bit and work on my house again for just a quick minute. Day 9, and it's a beautiful, chilly mountain morning. Much better than those dark, damp caves. So I start doing what Captain does best, and I get a farm going. Like I said, I've completely run out of food, and the idea of a farmer like me going hungry? Shameful. So I start to plant some carrots, but just as I'm clearing out a little more farmland, it dawns on me. Or well, it actually starts to snow on me. The idea of trying to grow potatoes or carrots in the snow, it seems kind of silly. The snow is really starting to pile up on my farmland, and I do not like this. I remember the little beehive greenhouse from before, and I decide I deserve one of those too. I go out and I start to harvest all of those Skyrus trees. First of all, this does give me a ton of apples. I can snack on these until the farm is set down, but also it gives me that blue wood I've really been trying to figure out a use for. I think this is the time. This greenhouse is going to be more of a blue house. Still, I think that the wood looks great for a build like this. After all, a greenhouse is actually made out of glass, so a blue tint is fitting, right? I work into the night, cooking up sand into glass, but I don't think I'm just going to throw down simple glass in this greenhouse. This glass is going to go into my house instead. No more mobs popping in or chilly nights for me. Day 10, and I start making an axe, because I know I'm going to be cutting down a lot of trees today. After all, the more blue wood I use, the less glass I'll need. I start to set down some of the planks, and I even redo some of the supports so that it looks more evenly spaced. I like the look of this so far. Now, to fill it in with all the glass. Step 1 is taking a trip to the beach, which Anakin doesn't love, but we need to do to get a ton of sand for a ton of glass. I then use a bit of iron to make some lanterns to hang them all over my house. Yes, this house is the size of a doghouse, but I don't care. I love it. Besides, my better builds are still coming up later. And speaking of, I decide that I'm not going to be using just any old glass, but framed glass for the greenhouse. Now, it takes iron and glass to make this, but it ends up looking really cool. And you can break it and move it, unlike vanilla glass, so it's pretty cool in that way too. For me, I just like it because it looks like a real greenhouse. Not just like a window pane, but an actual wall made out of glass. I think it fits perfectly into this build. And on day 11, I start to build up the roof, which is kind of the most important part of a greenhouse after all. You can't put wooden roofs on a greenhouse. Well, I mean, in Minecraft, you technically could, and the crops would still grow, as long as you have torches, but you know what I mean. It's kind of role-player-y-ish to make a greenhouse like this, but I like this kind of stuff. However, it does cost me, because it takes a ton of iron to make this framed glass. So sadly, we're headed back down to Centipede Town and back into the caves. But luckily, I do quickly find this iron. It kind of looks like cookies and cream. Yeah, cookies and cream. Best ice cream flavor. Fight me about it. I find some more iron here, and then I see some more zombies slowly falling into the depths, and I laugh at them. Let them be centipede food. This little guy, however, we must save. This is a goblin, the true alpha gamer Chad of Better Minecraft. He will give you some of the best trades you've ever seen. For example, he'll trade you 1 raw iron for 2 bars. And yes, I'm going to be calling them bars from now on because of how much you guys blew me up in the comments when I say ingots wrong. But you guys can make fun of me all day. I don't care. I'm finding even more diamonds on day 12. I also find these tortoises. And instead of killing them, I give them a little smooch. Whatever loot these guys might drop, it's not worth their lives. Call me a meme, but I like turtles. Speaking of slow, it's already day 13 by the time I finally get to the surface. But it doesn't really matter because those were days well spent. Now I have enough glass and iron to continue working on the greenhouse. I even decided to treat myself and get my very first diamond pick. Then we craft up some rhyolite slabs too. I get a ton more framed glass all set up on the roof. And by day 14, I start to work on my own roof. You guessed it, we're breaking out the rhyolite. I really like this block. It has a deep reddish-brown marbling that pairs really well with the Zelkova wood, like it's almost made for it. I also make the roof with a very shallow slope using the slabs instead of staircases because I'm starting to like this style of roof a lot better. I like this because I think it looks a little bit more realistic instead of that triangular roof you get when a kid tries to draw a house. Plus, this block has a very high saturation, deep brassy look to it. I think it's great. A couple of little details here on the sides to add some depth, and I think it's really coming together well. Now, I put some slabs around my windows to give them a little extra depth as well. I've been trying to do this with a lot of my builds, and I think it really takes everything to the next level. It can make your windows really pop if you do it right. Day 15, and I start to add some wraparound shelves on the outside windows. Then, I place some dirt with some trapdoors in the shelf so that I can place flowers right in the windows. I have some small white flowers on the corners with a big splash of purple pastel right in the center. This cottage in the woods is really looking sharp now. Not big in size, no, but it's big in detail and beautiful. After all, it's not the size that counts, it's how you use it. That's what I keep telling myself. Okay, I'm gonna go cry myself to sleep now. Day 16, and I gotta say, walking up to the front door through the woods like this is like a Minecraft lucid dream come true. Sure, this is the type of house you might build as a kid, but with the depth, beauty, and detail of a pro coming back to the game. And I'm not even halfway done, because I still need to get the greenhouse set. I make some Skyrus door, which turns out to be perfect. They have a glass center, but it's tinted pink, which would even better hold in the warmth. I start to add in the roof, in the middle over the water block. Now I know in reality, I really only need this block over the water, but what fun is that? I'm now taking some time to finish laying out all the frame glass on the middle part of the roof, and of course, I end up one short. Yeah, feels bad, man. Now I'm gonna have to wait a little bit longer and wait for the glass and the iron to cook, but I finished the day adding some Skyrus slabs and a little more detail. It's a very weird block to build with, I'll admit, but I really think I'm making it work. Day 17, and I'm really starting to get all the detail down. I'm using a ton more slabs in all of my builds, and I think that really helps to add a lot to this. I see a ton of builds and tutorials on YouTube where they suggest you just place random blocks to break up patterns, and I don't know if that's really my style. I think that the form should have intent, and adding randomness is just hoping you get lucky and things look good. Who am I kidding? It's Minecraft. Build however you want. I know I will. And look at what building my way has gotten me. By that night, the greenhouse looks good. I think it looks better than my place. Now finally, on day 18, the whole point of the greenhouse was the crops inside of it after all. So let's get to planting. Now, I still want to try to use as many new blocks as I can and stick to the non-vanilla mods, but for the crops, I decided to play it safe. I want to do a ton of exploring, and if I don't know exactly 100% what my food does, I might not be as strong as I need to be. So we get some carrots, wheat, taters, and some beets. The classic look. Besides, let's be real, no farming is ever going to beat HARVESTCRAFT. I get some iron gear ready for set adventures, but I want to take one last check and see what kind of food we really have. It doesn't look great. Yeah, that's right, I said it. I love this mod pack, but it's still not perfect. But then again, maybe I am a little bit spoiled with PAM'S HARVESTCRAFT. I really feel like the farming situation in Better Minecraft is just a little bit lacking. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks that. It's not a deal breaker either way. Besides, I'm getting ready to take on the battle tower, so I gotta stay focused. I go in, and I start to move right up to the second floor, and I quickly see that each floor has its own mini little mob theme. This skelly room has a ton of bones, and of course, one single skelly spawner. I take it out, and get ready to move up to the next floor. I know this next one's gonna be zombies because I've already seen a few of them fall down to the first floor. I quickly pop that spawner too, but zombies are spawning in the higher floors and they're all dropping down here. Now I have a little bit of a fight on my hand. I managed to keep them all back and force the zombies to come at me one at a time. A little bit smarter. Now bringing a super low durability sword as my only weapon, yeah, a little bit dumber. I craft up a diamond sword and I come back for round 2. I start to head up to the third floor, but I kind of struggled to get the stairs right, and the zombies take advantage and jump on top of me. I have to be really careful here. If I go too slow, more and more mobs will start to spawn above me. If I go too fast, I'll run out of health. I get up to the third floor, and I need to fight back a pack of them in this tiny cramped little room. But the messed up staircase actually turns out to help me because it traps a few of them down there, and I can get a few easy kills. But I still can't find the spawner on this floor. I'm pretty sure this room has a spawner though, because zombies are still popping out every few minutes. I rush ahead and even manage to break the spawner on the next floor. Only one more left. But as I'm looking through this double chest, I see what the last spawner is. Vex. And yeah, these guys suck just as hard as the vanilla effects. I don't have the greatest gear and I can't really tank their big damage. So to be safe, I end up popping one of my 3 golden apples and I run for my life. I run back home, I heal, and I get another golden apple. But I see on my minimap, all of these Vexes are swarming up top. This could end up being an L for us, boys. I actually managed to get a little bit of luck here. I rush up really quickly and manage to get the spawner, but it might be too late. There are so many now. I got one killed, but I need to pop another golden apple just to be safe. I then get to the top of the tower, and I'm looking pretty good, but there's still no time to celebrate. The sky is full of these little idiots. I need to be careful. The good news is, I do manage to get this Waystone active. The bad news is, I really hate Vex. I'm getting styled on by this one, no lie. But soon, I find this little map, which is good, and then I shoot down a ton of these Vex, and I sleep on their graves at the top of this tower. so I'm styling right back at him. So, on the start of day 20, I take a little look at our new map from the high ground. This will be our next big adventure for sure. But for now, I'm just glad that we handled this first mini-adventure and beat our very first ever battle tower. There still are some straggling Vex here and there. Man, I really do hate these things. Still, not as bad as the centipedes though. Then, I see that Better Minecraft also has some better furniture options, like this table. I set it down right in the front of the house, and I pot a little Coven flower. I also decide that before we go out on our big, great battle journey, we should probably get a little XP. After all, I still have that skelly spawner saved over the river. So, now I'm going to have to connect my house to the spawner with a bridge. Now, we don't need anything too crazy, just a simple little walkway will do. But again, there's no reason to just throw down some planks after all. We get some logs set down, and I run a simple Zelkova bridge right up to the front door of the spawner. I head up to the battle tower, and I grab some basalt from the roof. And then, I take a little nap right in the middle of our new soggy bridge. I start the next day by adding some fence rails to finish up the silliest looking bridge that I have ever seen. Then I start to use some basalt to make the walls on the outside of the spawner. If basalt is good enough for the battle tower, it's good enough for our skelly spawner. I also decide to grab the Waystone from the tower. And then I decide that walking down the tower is for losers, so I jump. I then dump my water bucket in the back to push all the mobs to the front where I can kill them easier. Then I make a little hole in the front here as a kill slit. Once I have this all set up, I take a minute here to look over my main map. I want to see what biome our adventure might be in, but I can't really figure out too much. It's just too far away. Day 22, and I set out a little platform that we can set down the Waystone. In case you guys haven't already guessed, you can teleport from Waystone to Waystone. This one is going to be our home Waystone, so we can always get right back here. Now all we need is to find another Waystone. And that right there, that's going to be a project all on its own. But for now, let's just take a minute and appreciate our little base. I start to set out a few simple little walkways, but all these little details are really starting to come together to make this place look good. The spawner's pretty good too. I gotta say, in my personal opinion, the skelly spawner might be peak spawner. You get bone meal for crops and arrows, which we are going to need for our best weapon, the bow. Speaking of great loot, I decided to craft a hopper and make a setup with a chest to collect all of this spawner's loot. Poor skellies, they didn't have a chance. You might even say that their chances were slim, because they're just bones. Look man, it's been 30 minutes and 22 days with no dad jokes. I can't hold them back forever. But on day 23, I start to crave adventure. I use my full map, which is part of Better Minecraft. I see that the marker map has us going towards an area that is unexplored territory, and it could be pretty far away. We could really use another Waystone to make things a lot easier. Now there's two ways we could do this. I could find one already spawned out in the world, or I could build one. Only problem, it takes Eyes of Ender. Now luckily, thanks to our hoarding ways, we already have 3 Eyes of Ender. Sadly, we need 4. So I'm gonna need to pick some fights with some Endy boys. But first, I am a little hungry. Let's craft up a smoker and run to the greenhouse for some taters. Better Minecraft even has better textures on vanilla crops too, and I think it looks really cool. We then throw them all in the smoker, and we smoke them because we got them. And finally, we head out at night. Being out at night is always a little bit dangerous, but we need Endermen to spawn. Plus, I just took on a battle tower, so I should be okay. That being said, I stay out all night, and the zombies are really starting to group up. Worse yet, no Endies. Day 24, and now I'm starting to feel like eating baked potatoes is a little bit cheap. After all, I said I'd try to use new blocks, and these new green apples are pretty good, and they're pretty easy to get too. So I cut down a ton of these trees, and I get enough apples to last the whole trip. Maybe too many apples. Then, I spend a while using the spawner. It's pretty good, but it could always be a little bit better. For now, I'm going to end the day by getting a little more iron. Normally I skip all of my mining, but this time we see an Enderman. I get his attention, and I do got to admit I kind of forgot just how tough these purple-eyed punks can be. Especially since this is a baby Enderman, which means that he can get inside my 2-block hideouts. I need to place another block pretty quickly to keep him from bum rushing me. I try to bait him, but, well, these guys, they're not dummies. He just ends up making me look like a dummy. I get down to 1 heart, and I need to slow down and back off here. Just eat and wait, and well, it looks like I waited too long because he teleports away. Luckily, after I heal a little bit, he does come back, but still, no eye. So, our quest continues. Day 25, and I find another cave, hoping to get another easy Enderman. Instead, we find this wild illusioner. By wild, I mean that he's not inside of a house. When I say wild illusioner like that, it almost kind of makes me feel like it's a Pokemon. It turns out Diamond Sword is super effective. I head back home to see that the sun set over my base, and I gotta say, this feels beautiful every time. I get some more gear to replace my pants because I don't want to get caught with ripped pants. I'm not SpongeBob after all. I wish. Then I head out that night trying to get back on that Enderman grind. Sadly though, it starts raining. This really might ruin our hunt, but still we gotta try. I head over the mountain behind our base and into another frozen river. I find this baby skeleton, which is super fast. It's a good thing I had a shield here. This could have been badly. Better Minecraft has babies for every mob, not just zombies. Duh, you guys probably could already tell that though. Just then, I see on my minimap that there is an Enderman close by. That kind of doesn't make sense though if you think about it. It's still raining out here. Then I figure it out. He might be underground, like the last one was. So I start digging down near him on the map, and sure enough, I find not one, but two endies hiding down here from the rain. I start to dig a little hideout to protect myself, and I hope that one of these spooky dark Slendermen will drop at least one eye. Sadly, they teleport right out of my life, just like my dad. On day 26, it's still raining, and I'm still going to be stalling for time. I find another illusioner house, and I run on in. This tricky boy does manage to teleport out, and he makes decoys of himself. That makes fighting this a little bit tougher, but soon I manage to get rid of most of the decoys. I go upstairs, and I find new books and some leather, but no Eyes of Ender. I head back outside to see that the illusioner is still out here. I manage to rush him down and get the real one down before he can blind me. Then, it's off to do more exploring for me. After all, if I still can't manage to find an Enderman, maybe I can still find a Waystone out in the world. In the meantime, I am going to need some obsidian, so I grab this block out of the cave right here. What I do not need are these spooky eyes on this villager. Ooh, creepy. But he is actually a good guy. The gatekeeper lets you go to the blue skies dimension, but I have enough to deal with in the overworld. For example, this cherry blossom tree, one of my favorite. Also, we get to see these rams, not as cool, but still. Then finally we see these rabbits. Rabbit pelts are the only way you can get backpacks, but I just can't bring myself to kill them. So, looks like we're going to be holding all of our loot in our hands. No bags, no second trips, like a real Steve. Speaking of loot, I see another Endy boy on the minimap, just as the sun is starting to set. But I get close, I can't find him. I'm starting to think that he might be up in the trees, and I start chopping them all down. Now, while I am right about this, and he is in fact in the trees, I don't suggest you go cutting down your trees to find any of your friends. I manage to get his attention, and I track him over to the hideout that I've already built. I slap him down, sure, but it's no good though. I still need that eye. I gotta admit, I'm getting a little bit mad here. I go full Rambo on this guy, and I get myself in a bit of trouble. I gotta slow down here. Got a bit closer to death than I'd like. But one thing I really do like is that we get the last Eye of Ender. Finally. I mean, it might have taken us, what, like 4 days? But that's okay. We got it. Now let's head home. On the way home, we find another hunter hut, deep in the fragmented forest, and I kindly let myself in, with a knife. While we're here, I decide to clear up some of my inventory space by crafting up the warpstone. Now, all we need is a little more obsidian, but I can easily get that on the way. I just can't wait anymore. We get an anvil, which is good because our bow is really going to need some love. And we get a bow with Unbreaking 3, speaking of love. We then spend the rest of the day planting all the cherry saplings that we've collected. Then we get some rest, because tomorrow is going to be our big adventuring day. We throw down our boat, and we get headed up the river. And I gotta take a moment to just say, the water in the overworld looks great with these shaders. Also, did I mention, this mod pack comes with shaders complimentary. No need to download or ask me in the comments. What we do need is to get that lava, because we still do need those 2 more obsidian. We climb up the water, and I get the lava cooled, and then I mine it up. Only 1 more now, and I already find this one. With this obsidian collected, we throw down a crafting table, and we make up our second waystone. Now let's test this bad boy out. We set it down, and we set this up as, I don't know, it's just a test. Let's call it out. Because we are headed out, right? It doesn't matter. Well, it turns out to be a successful test, because now we can teleport back and forth to get home. So now, this means I can unload all my loot back at home Then I can refill my inventory right back up and continue my pack rat hoardy ways. Then we can teleport right back to where we left off, and we can break down the Waystone and bring it with us. We finally get past the fragmented forest, and I get to see even more of the better Minecraft world. These beautiful rolling mountains covered with these really tall trees, and the other side, pumpkins? Massive 4-meter tall pumpkins, I guess? Then we take a second to make our first stop, because I see some pillagers on this minimap. Turns out it is a hunter's hut, but it's abandoned. Where could they be? Spooky. Nah, I think they're just out hunting. So I grab some steaks, and I get some sleep. Man, I sure hope they don't come home while I'm out. Day 29, and we get ready for another long journey down the river. Nah, JK, I'm just crossing over. I see this huge building right across the river, and I'm thinking it might have more skellies like the one on day 1 did, but no. It's a fisherman's lodge. I gotta say though, honestly, there's a lot of books here for fishermen. I mean, no offense, fishermen, but they're not really known for their reading now, are they? I then head upstairs to the second floor, and I see the real reason that all these books are here. The second floor is a library containing all of our ancestral arcane knowledge of fishing, I guess? But more importantly, we find a brand new map in here. And this one is much closer too. I also decide that this is a good time to empty my inventory, and I'm using the Waystone to head back home. Then I see something that kinda sucks, but I guess it does make sense. It costs us 1 level of XP to travel home. But I guess that's a fair price. You can't just be jumping all over the place too much after all. I then come back to the fisherman home and make sure that we take the Waystone with us too. I decide that these fishermen, well, I don't think they'll miss these books too much. As for the librarians, I'm going to steal their books because they're nerds. What are they going to do, fight me? I then say my goodbyes to a dungeon that rarely is actually friendly, and I head towards our new map location, which means we're going to be coming across a whole bunch of new biomes, like this allium flower-covered field. Also a forest of birch, which, even though it's a horrible wood, I gotta say, it looks decent in better Minecraft. Finally, I end today with an easy little trip down the river with a view that, well, no one can complain about. As it starts to get dark, I see that I'm probably going to have to find a place to go to sleep. I check my map, and soon I see this teal-looking structure, and I'm thinking that this is the best we got right now. Turns out the teal was a copper roof on this clearly abandoned building. Once again, we get more books. Ew. Also a spider spawner. Well, it's not too crazy. And we even get a diamond, so this isn't too bad. I set out a little nightlight and get my sleeping bag all ready to go. As day 30 starts, I see that we're getting pretty close to the location on our map. In fact, after a quick little goodbye to our creepy little spider house, we just have to go directly east. And as we head out on our travels, we come across this massive beast known as your mom. Ooh, got him. We then find something a little less disgusting, a pillager battle camp. The towers start shooting down at me right away, and well, 2 can play at that game. I then break out a tiny little hole in the wall where I can safely start to clear out the camp. I see some vindicators, and normal pillagers too, but also a few new bow-using pillagers called archers, which push me back. I get right back up, and I keep on trying to whittle this place down. I manage to push my way in, and now I'm the one getting shot at. But I manage to chase down each crossbow baddie and slap him up. I then see this, a big pile of iron. I will admit, the loot here is mid at best, but I kind of like the iron. And look, there's even solid blocks of raw iron. So there is something worth all this blood and death, but also all this killing is just fun. So there's that. I just love killing. I break out of the camp, and I see another castle across the river. Jump into my boat, but I gotta admit this already doesn't look as good as the last one. Seems like the pillagers might have already had their way with the previous owners of this place. It kind of almost looks haunting and sad, but peaceful and enchanting in a way too. I then see the one single occupant that's left, a lonely iron golem. Sorry, bud. I'm sure you tried your best. I then go to bed next to the campfire with my lonely new friend. But on day 31, just like everyone else, I have to abandon these ruins for the last time. We make our way through a dark oak swamp and then find another gatekeeper house. There's nothing too interesting here, but after rummaging around, I see it. Better Minecraft has one iconic pre-made dungeon. This is it, the Rose City. This thing is crazy huge, and well, pretty scary if I'm being totally honest. It's a good thing we found the Waystone right out in front here. I do see that it takes 2 levels to go home, which means that every 1,000 blocks you travel with a Waystone costs 1 level. Still a fair deal if you ask me, and I unload my entire inventory before heading into the bottom of this massive dungeon. And of course, as I try getting in, a creeper and 2 babies push me out. So yeah, really great start here. And when I finally do get inside, I just see it's a big empty room. This kind of sucks. I'm kind of worried that this is all there's going to be here. But soon, after I break my way up, I end up inside of, once again, another library. Better Minecraft really do be wanting you to read though. But soon, I see some decent loot and a custom skelly in leather gear. This is what Rose City is really all about. Tough, challenging mobs, but some good loot if you can manage. Also, a little light parkour, never bad. We then jump our way all the way up to the ground floor. From this point on, the mobs will be getting tougher and tougher as we go higher and higher. And that's pretty bad too, because the spawners are already making iron armored skellies. So I can tell that the Rose City is going to be a battle tower on steroids. Can I say steroids? Is that going to get me in trouble with YouTube? Oh well. Video's canceled, my channel's dead. And speaking of dead, one hit from these axe skelly boys half kills me. So I need to be really careful, and I'm going to have to use some tricks here. I try to rush in like I did at the battle tower and pop this hanging spawner, but I get down to half a heart. Yeah, that trick's not going to work here. I have to back off and shoot them down one by one. So instead, we're going to have to sneak around and try to break spawners by flanking them, not taking them on in straight up fights. Also, we're going to have to make this jump. Nah, JK, totally just kidding you. Now we head up another level, and soon we see a huge pack of sword boys. They push me right back down to the ground level in no time. Now I have to keep on falling back, and honestly, kind of feels like I've made negative progress at this point. It's been an entire day now, and I'm not going to make you watch all the progress of me slowly fighting my way up. But for the highlights, all you gotta know is that we have to try to focus on shooting the mobs with our bow and arrow before they can get to us. Then use blocks to trap them so they can't get to me so that I can shoot them. Then rush in, pop spawners, eat golden apples to survive, and get out. I'm starting to think that this might be a little too tough for me. Maybe I should have waited for diamond gear or even netherite gear. But if I cheat a little bit, I think I might be able to make this work. The good news is, as we go higher and higher, I'm getting armor that's better than my current gear. So I'm getting stronger as I go up. Bad news is, we come to the worst room yet. The bee room, ha. Now I actually think that it's pretty cool that even on the high floor like this, they have a bee and rose room in the city of roses. It makes sense. We get projectile protection 4, which is pretty nice, and climb our way up to the top at the start of day 33. And yes, I picked the tallest tower on purpose for the next part of my strategy. Being at the highest tower means that now we can build and drop our way down to each tower top without fighting our way through each one. Now, is this cheating? Is this strategy a little bit cheap? I don't care. It's smart and it might just work. So we slowly start to build from tower top to tower top. And I gotta say, I think this is the highest I've ever been in any hardcore play. High, like up in the air, not... Anyway. Okay, I use water to elevate her down to the next tower and quickly break the PAM'S spawner. Weird. Maybe that's why they don't spawn in the daylight. Anyway, more importantly, there's 12 diamonds and a lot of XP bottles and feather falling, which I could really use up here. The loot up here is top tier, and this whole dungeon really is a highlight of this playthrough after all. I teleport back home and load up my base with this amazing loot. And I'm happy this is a solid way to cap off the first act of my story. I pop all the XP bottles and decide it's time to move on to the next tower. I go up the water elevator and get ready to block my way to the next tower, which is a pretty tall one too. In the back of my head, I'm thinking that maybe the taller the tower, the better loot. Makes sense, right? The book is fine, I mean, but I could really go for more. So I'm thinking I could take a detour. What if I head down these towers? After all, the best loot is probably going to be at the top, where I can easily get to, right? But I don't need to go too far down this time. Instead, let's get the next tower done. When I finally get over to this tower, I see that its chest has another 9 diamonds and an unbreaking book, so pretty good. But I definitely don't want to see any of these phantom spawners fire up. So before the sun sets, it's time for bed. I start the next day by seeing off that the remaining towers are all much shorter. So instead of being stuck way up in the sky, I decide to head down this tower and break out the side so that I don't have such a crazy high start. I get down to a pretty safe level and I start to move over. Only thing is, it starts to rain, and now I'm worried that the phantoms will start to spawn. I break the spawner ASAP, and I get some good news. This chest has an infinity bow. That's my favorite enchant, maybe next to fortune. Plus power 3 means that we could get a power 4 infinity bow. I'm honestly so hyped about this. Now I'm rushing to get this done so I can go home and make this bow. A skelly almost shoots me off this bridge in midair. Turns out it wasn't just a skelly, but it was a skelly riding on the back of a mega phantom. There's no way I'm going to try to cross the bridge with him still alive. I wait for the night and I go to sleep, which passes the rain away. Sure enough, at the start of day 35, the phantom is burnt up and gone. We rush across the bridge and crush the spawner as fast as we can. And it's all worth it because the chest is another big win, with more diamonds and some pretty solid gear. And what's even better is from this point on, we're pretty much on the rooftop levels. The falling danger isn't nearly as bad. Still, we should be careful. Of course, it's only fair that with less danger, we do get less loot. This chest is just fine. Maybe it's good and I've just gotten spoiled. Still, no diamonds, so for me it's mid. And now we've gotten so low and these towers are so short, I think the preferred strategy is just to climb up them normally. I get up this last tower from the bottom and well, it's a great chest if you like iron, I guess. But still good loot, so let's not leave it. I set down my Waystone, and I'm making my way downtown, walking fast, faces past, and I'm homebound. Before I even set down one item, I make this beastly bow, but don't actually have enough XP to combine all the bows I want, so oh well. I unload all my good loot as quick as I can, and head right back to Rose City again. I actually do see that there is one last tower, and I make my way over here. There is some XP here and a book with loyalty, but with 100k subs, I've got all the loyalty I could ever ask for. Now, the last thing there is to do is to actually escape the city. I'm thinking that this should be pretty easy, but I quickly find out that this is a trap. I need to pop an apple just to survive, and now I seem kind of stuck here. The top level has some dangerous mobs, and I can't go run back there. And there's still some mob spawners down below me, so I'm kind of sandwiched. I try to run in and pop the spawner, but I think I missed this one? And then I try to fight my way back down, and I'm okay. I guess I got it. That's good. I get down to half a heart, and this is so close to dying. I eat another golden apple in my panic, and I just try to dig my way out at this point. I finally get my heart rate to slow down to somewhat normal levels, and I grab this last quick cherry tree on my way out. But it is night, and my heart is still racing, so let's be safe and head back home. Gotta say though, this chest is looking pretty good. Okay, I think finally it's time to go to bed. I craft up some more golden apples, because I'm really starting to depend on these things. Then we get right back on the trail. I'm really riding the high of all this good loot. Like a natural, like a figurative high. Anyway, now I'm back on my original quest, trying to find that very first map marker. So I keep heading southeast, which means sooner or later, I'll be ending up in Florida. So maybe I should stop. But the real reason I stop is because on my minimap, I can see like 100 pillagers surrounding me, so I stop and have to fight my way through. This first tower is a normal pillager tower, but it's just jungle style. This means that the shield will really help me out here. I keep fighting my way through, and I'm grabbing a ton of kills, until I see this Vindicator. Yeah, now it's got me struggling again. And I do have to pull back and run a little bit, but hey, I managed to wipe out like 3 Vindicators at once here. With them gone, I should be able to move into the tower pretty easily. So I move my way up, and I see one more Vindicator. And yeah, I get back down to 2 hearts. I gotta say, I really don't like Vindies. I have to run back out again and heal again. This time, we do manage to get all the way to the top, and I even decide to cut out the entire middle of the tower. Clearly pretty angry still. And I decide to keep going with a little bit of daylight left, but only till the sun sets. Then the next day, I decide that it might be time to take a break, and I head home. Truth be told, I've been away from home for a little bit too long. I got a diamond axe and plant the cherry tree, and then cut down the big cherry blossoms from before. This gives us a bright, rich red wood that I really like. Speaking of really like, I get another look at my house under the sunset, and now remember why I miss this place so much. I'll be spending the next few days back here, and the plan for what I'm going to be doing here revolves around getting more cherry blossom trees growing. I'm trying to figure out if I want to expand my house, or if I just want to build an entirely new building. But since I'm using a brand new type of wood, I decided to go for a separate new building. This one starts out with cherry logs, and I gotta say, they are really popping. They're so bright. In fact, I'm gonna be making this bright, big building so big, I'm gonna have to dig out some more space for it. Wow, really dig out some space. It's the end of the day and I'm still digging. Okay. I guess this building is going to be like half underground. That night, I start to get some of the cherry log supports connected and strip the horizontal logs to show off all that red. Okay, back to more digging. With all this digging, it kind of seems like maybe I should have just found a flatter area instead, but it's too late now. As the night ends, I have a rough structure set out. This building is going to have a smaller entrance, then a larger chamber as the main room. Once again, I'm going to be using some fences for the foundation and use some slabs for the floor to raise everything up a little bit. Now that I have all these red planks, I gotta say, this color is really making this building pop. I'm starting to make the walls for the front entrance, and by that night, I have a matching patio just like my house, only it's a little bit bigger to fit the bigger building. The floor has now been totally set out, and I start to make myself a nicer entrance. I want it to have a lot of layers and a lot of detail. I also want to have a lot of sleepy time, so I'm off to bed now. Day 40, and I'm starting to get the walls all around the main room set up. Then I start to add the roof of the entrance as well. I guess it's called a foyer? I ain't French, no thanks. Then we start to put down some of the planks for the roof in the main room. This is really just so it's easier to finish up the walls in this room. The walls of the main room here are going to have long windows in them running all the way from the top to the bottom. As for the wall in the way back, well, this is where my little surprise for you guys comes in. After all, we've done it, crew. Without begging for subs, or annoying everyone on other platforms, TikTok, we've organically grown our YouTube channel to 100K subs. I can't even begin to express what this means as an artist and a creator, or even what this means to me as a man, so I won't even try. You've given me so much by making one of my biggest goals in my life come true. And you've shown me that what I do matters. Thank you all so much for being such a big part of my journey and my life. And to show you all how much I'm thinking about you all the time, I made this build because I love you. From the bottom of my heart to yours, thank you for 100K subs. You're the best crew a captain could ever ask for. Okay. Now before this gets too mushy, let's get back to the comedy and laugh at how ugly this glass is. Purple glass, ew, no. Break it now, and let's never talk about this ever again. I decided the best way to quickly hide that mistake is to stay up late and finish almost all the windows with real glass. We then start to put in those small little details to make the building really come to life. And at the start of day 41, I run out to get some chestnut wood. This is a simple but solid Better Minecraft wood that I think makes a really good looking chest. And these chests are going right into the new building, which, by the way, can you guys guess what the building's going to become? One hint is it's going to need a lot of storage. The second thing it's going to need is something to cover the heart-shaped windows. Glass isn't going to do it after all. I make some shears and I head out to the white cherry trees. I cut down a bunch of their leaves and then I start to cover the entire back wall. So, as I work my way up, when I'm finally finished, ta-da! 2 fully flowered hearts. Now, that build right there is a Captain's original. I know you've never seen that before, but I'm not done just yet. I head to the back of each heart and start to lay out some cherry logs in a pattern that you might see up in a tree. That's because we're going to be using white cherry blossom leaves to make the back of the building have growing trees as supports. On day 42, I continue this on the front supports as well. However, I decide I'm not going to do white cherry blossoms the whole way around. So instead, let's add a new block. I start to cut down a ton of pink cherry blossom leaves and pretty much fill my entire inventory. And I'm sure my inventory smells amazing right now. Well, at least I know it's better than when I have a bunch of rotten flesh in there for sure. I then add a bundle of pink leaves to each support beam to make it look like a cherry tree is growing out of each side. Then, as the sun is setting, I cut down even more leaves. I go a little bit crazy and spend a lot of time up here because it's just so nice. That night, I get a preview of how this cherry tree building will look, and then I get a few lanterns hanging up here so it's not so dark and creepy. By day 43, I start to add some more details to the front. Fences, and a few more slabs to make everything really pop, then add in a few lanterns here and there. And this build is really starting to look good. Then I go inside and set some slabs up on the roof here. This way I can hang some lanterns in here because I don't need any creepers spawning in here and blowing my hearts up. If that were to happen, I think I'd throw my PC out the window. Sorry, I get defensive. Also, my PC is like 15 years old, so it really wouldn't be that big of a loss, but still. Now, to finish our heart house, we get some obsidian. I run down to a pool of lava and I start to harvest it all up. And I actually do stay down here for a little while, because we're going to be getting enough to make a portal and an enchantment table. Yep, that's right. This room is going to be our enchantment library. I decided to use the Skyrus wood to make the bookshelves. Doing this makes some bright blue bookshelves, and yeah, I'm glad we get to use this wood as much as we do. Might have been better to use some black wood instead. I don't know. When I look at it, sometimes I think it might kind of contrast at best and clash at worst. But hey, if you like it, let me know. Or let me know what kind of wood you would use instead. I take a minute here to reward myself and finally get that infinity bow that I've wanted so much. Then I start to fill up the sides of the room with even more bookshelves. I had a few extra lying around. I guess I didn't need to take so many from those fishermen. Oops. And after looking everything over, at the end here, I think the inside of this library is outstanding. I think this is one of my best builds. I really like it. Now it's time to get some use out of it. I place a few pieces of diamond gear, but my levels are a little bit low right now. Projectile protection is pretty good though, but still, I should probably try to get those levels up a little bit. After all, I do have an XP farm. Day 45, and I already almost have a full diamond set with some mid-level enchants, so I'm feeling like that Rose City adventure really paid off after all. If I really want to make those diamonds shine, I'll need to grind at the XP farm. And yeah, I do. Like all day, in fact. Just before I go to bed, I see a wandering trader, and he's selling magic beans, hey! So against my mother's better wishes, I sell our cow to get some magic beans. This does make a decent-sized beanstalk. It's okay, I guess. But just like anything where the size is a little disappointing in our lives, we throw a little bit more money at it to make everything better. I place 4 beans all together, and soon we have a tower of a beanstalk. Honestly, fee fi fo fum, this little beanstalk thing is kind of dumb. Speaking of dumb, I decide to waste another day at the XP farm. I managed to get to level 20, and the enchant I'm allowed to get is thorns, which I love. It even gives me fire protection too. However, my other enchants are Smite and Bane of Arthropods. No thank you. I enchant my pick with a little unbreaking, then make a second pick to enchant with efficiency. Soon, it's all starting to come together. But I'm getting a little bored, and I want to take a break from the XP grind. I look at my base and how everything's coming so far, and I'm pretty happy. But I still do need to figure out what I'm going to do for the roof of my library. And I think I know exactly what I want. I see on my big map that the place that we left the Waystone has ebony trees. I'd love to get my hands on some of that dark wood. So, we take a hop and a skip to Mushroom Town. Mushroomville? Mushroom Manor? Well, it doesn't matter, because I'm not here for the mushrooms. I'm here for the ebony wood. This tree is big, and they're all connected together. That means the old one-shop trip just ain't gonna cut it. Literally won't cut it. Anyway, but after being here all day, I finally get a few stacks, and I think that this should be good. We get back home, and we make a ton of planks, and then immediately turn those planks into slabs. I'm going all slabs on my roof like crazy. Although I will admit, maybe this time I did it a little too much. Now first, we set out a really wide brim, like a cowboy hat, and then we slowly ramp up towards the middle with an increasing incline. Speaking of increasing the tilt, the more and more I work, the more and more I'm getting upset with it. The ramping up never really ramped up in the middle. So I start to go over the entire roof again and make it a more steep incline. So, we start to get everything done by the end of the day, but my tilt is not quite done yet. In truth, my salty burning tilting never completely dies. I keep building the slabs all the way up the building, getting taller and taller, adding more and more, with even some vertical slabs, cause I know you all hate that. Well, turns out I hate it too, because by the time I'm done with this, I'm just not sure I like this. Like, the building down here is so awesome, and it really sucks that the roof kinda didn't come together the way I hoped it would. Well, honestly, it's still good enough. At least from the ceiling down. Speaking of down, we start to dig down because the XP farm over at the spawner works only if you're standing close to it. Now, I'm going to be making a new XP farm close to my base where more mobs will spawn. I hope. Now, the idea here is pretty similar to the mob farms that I've made before, only instead of building a big, huge, ugly square tower, I'm going to be digging down underground instead. Then I make a deep central pit for them to fall down the middle. By the way, I gotta say, it's pretty cool. Better Minecraft has moss growing on these stones that are next to the water. After digging down about 20 blocks, I make a walkway all the way back up, and I decide to get some rest. Day 49, and I think we need a little bit more love on the grounds themselves. Plus, having more light posts does keep away the mobs, so less mobs up here means more mobs down in the spawner. I add some lanterns to the library outside, and I add a light post in between the greenhouse and the house. Finally, I get some stone fences from the battle tower, and I move them over to the Waystone platform. And of course, I add a few lanterns up here as well, just to get everything looking proper. I then see this drowned, and his throwing arm is not proper. You suck, dude. I find this little guy. He came right up to my door. Floyd is offering me a trade where I can make a diamond pick and an unbreaking 3 book and get an unbreaking 4 pick, which is like not a thing. It's an overpowered, better Minecraft enchant, so you know I'm down for that. On day 50, I start to set up the XP farm, so hopefully I can get it working until the pillagers are back. Halfway through the playthrough, and they're looking for some revenge. Now, unfortunately for them, I've seen much worse than these little guys. After dealing with them, I head down to the bottom of the XP farm to see how everything is going, and no mobs yet. Okay. That night, I just can't stand it. I run back to the old XP farm, and I question everything I've done up until this point. I stay up all night, and I only managed to crank out a few levels, and now I'm sad. I make myself feel better by adding some stairs to the new XP farm, and I even see that I have a creeper. Yeah, 1 creeper per day. Great. So of course, I head back to the old XP farm because the new one is, I don't know, just not working. I take some of the bone meal I've gotten from this farm, and I start growing more taters. Then I can put them into the smoker and get a little extra XP. Once again, another reason the old XP farm is better. And so, we head back to that old XP farm for a whole day. How did I manage to ruin a better Minecraft playthrough in only 50 days? Well, I'm done with this. I'm gonna go do something a little more worth our time and head to the Nether. Let's see what the Nether's like in better Minecraft. Okay, so far it seems pretty similar to vanilla. Pretty fine. Oh, hey, and there's a giant mosquito right on my face in the first 10 seconds. Good stuff, good stuff. So, while I'm here, I decide to mine up some quartz to pump up my levels a little bit, but too much time in the Nether just increases my chances of dying, so we should probably leave. On my way out, I see something that I didn't know it at the time, but this little guy is a game changer. Fire goblins. They'll trade you 4 debris for 5 nether scrap. They'll basically give you a free netherite scrap for every 4 that you already get. This means we're definitely going to have to go netherite mining to take advantage of this. But enough of that cool stuff. Let's get back to being sad over at the XP farms. So, once again, I stay here all day. I hate myself. I had a similar hopper and chest setup to the new XP farm because, you know, we gotta make sure we get all this good loot. I then disenchant this bow, just like the real world has disenchanted me of my childhood wonder. And with that, we finally get all the way up to level 30. We use our 30 levels to get Fortune on a diamond pick, and then combine that with the old pick to get Efficiency 4, Fortune 2, and Unbreaking 4. So, was it worth it all? I'm asking a serious question. Was it worth it all? Well, you know what? Maybe I don't want to think about that too hard. Also, in my sleep-deprived state, I accidentally added an E to my bow, so I'd like y'all to meet Bowie. Bowie the Bow. Best thing I've done in these 100 days. Good use of 54 days if you ask me. Now let's get some sleep. Bowie looks tired. Day 55, and we're leaving the XP farm situation for a little bit here. We're headed out to find that map marker for the very first map, which means we jump in the Waystone and end up back here at the Mushroom Kingdom. And yes, I know that's not what the Mushroom Kingdom is, but you know what I mean. Now the loot over here is meh at best, but I do see at the top of this little house there's a Spore Blossom. We grab this and pretty much leave everything else. Now the part about this mushroom place that's actually pretty cool are the mobs. Mushroom Piglings, which are pretty unique, I think. They can ride cows. I mean, hey, can you ride cows? No, you're just jealous. Weirdly though, the ones who don't ride cows are actually super fast and, like, dangerous, so maybe the cows are lame after all. I will say this brand new bow does make life a lot easier. The punch keeps them back, and the power means that even these armored mobs go down in like 3 hits at most. And Infinity, well, do I have to explain why Infinity's so good? I've managed to now pop 2 spawners, but more piglings just keep coming. So I'm going to need to carefully kite and clear out another round. I come back in to see there's only a few left. That's about it. I see that the loot in here is meh also, but we have a 3x3 huge bed. That's way too many people in one bed. Whores. Whores, I say. I need to sleep somewhere, but there's no way I'm sleeping in that dirty pile. I go out and head into a little house, put down my sleeping bag. Day 56, and I keep moving through all the houses until I find this. A rainbow mushroom head. You know I'm an ally, so this little trophy is coming with me. Only thing is, I gotta admit, I kind of think this version of me is better. Did I just come out of the closet right there? No, never mind. You know what? Maybe at 200k subs. I head around and look into each little house, but I think it's time for us to go ahead and get to the main mushroom once again. The punch really shines up here, and it can throw mobs off this level. And as much as I'm being mean and making fun of this dungeon, up here it actually is really cool. Loot isn't everything. Sometimes you just gotta stop and take in the quality of all these builds. Okay, back to looting. I get into the center of the top of the mushroom, and I think it's some kind of church up here. And so I start to break all the spawners and the holy relics. Now these last two piglings right here are so upset that we broke down their religious site that they declare a holy war on me, but all I smell is bacon. I head further down the jungle river and get closer to the map marker, but soon the day is coming to an end, so it's time to go to sleep. On day 57, we're getting close, and we finally got into the desert part of our journey. Then, this happens. After all the enchanting and mega dungeon crawling, one of the rarest and best enchants in Minecraft is right here in this homeless guy's little vase. But hey, Silk Touch is Silk Touch, I guess. So after just randomly picking up this amazing book, we go to this tower. Bigger buildings must mean better loot, right? Well, it turns out this tower has the worst loot so far, but I guess I still can't complain. We got Silk Touch, and we're almost to the big ruins we've been trying to get to since like day 24. Now, I don't actually see anything once we get here, but we're directly over the map marker, so I'm guessing that the ruins are down underground. So I start to dig down, and here we go, really quick, fast forward, edit time, go fast, woo! I end up in this lush cave, which is great, don't get me wrong, but it's not really what I came here for. I know I'm getting close, so I set my Waystone down and empty my inventory back at home, hoping to find said ruins, though I gotta admit, I've already got this little treasure here. I take a little look at my beautiful home, and I decide to spend a little bit more time here before I move on. Sadly, it's the XP farm time. But hey, we do get to add the spore blossoms inside of the library, and I think this makes it look even better. I head to bed, and at the start of day 58, I spend a little bit more time at the new XP farm. But this XP farm could use a little love. We add Silk Touch to the iron pick because I have an idea on how to make it better. One last look at our house, and then we head to the ruins Waystone. First of all, I find some diamonds and some lapis, which is great, and under the lapis, we finally find them. The reanimated desert ruins. That's good. What's bad is my Silk Touch idea, well, it doesn't work right here. I try to use Silk Touch to get the spawner, and it's no good. It just turns it into a broken spawner. I try it again, and a third time. Yeah, no. I try to open this chest, and then fire hits me on the face. Okay. Haven't been keeping up on my Indiana Jones, so I guess I deserve that. I try this Silk Touch again. Man, I'm desperate. Now I can really see we aren't going to be able to pull off this plan. Although, maybe I could try something else. Better Minecraft has the Carry On mod. That means I can pick up blocks like chests and like spawners. Okay, now the downside is we can't move very fast or fight anything. I do need to set down the spawner every time I need to fight and still manage to blow myself up on booby traps. I get a few more books. What? I like books now. It's my thing. And I keep on trying to get all the loot I can before trying my little spawner home trick. I'm being careful now. I'm trying not to trigger any traps. And then this. Then, of course, my old rival returns. And when I least expect it, too. Just look at him, man. He's so crawly in the tunnel. God, I hate these things. They're worse than the wither. Okay, I shoot him at a distance, as much as I can. I need to pop a golden apple to cleanse my soul. I then dig a hole and I hide and just try to collect my thoughts. I just barely make it. Seriously, I'm down to 1 heart and that skelly is right in my face. Way too close. I heal, I come back out, and I can't find him. I'm hoping the fire damage got him, but let's be honest, we all know he's gonna pop out behind me soon. I try to grab this spawner and make my way back to the Waystone. I want to get out of here and try to take this spawner home with me. Sadly, I keep trying to use the Waystone with the spawner in my hands, but nope, no good. My Silk Touch and Carry On plans are both bunk. Look, somehow, I blame the centipede for all this. And I blame him for this explosion here, too. Totally wasn't me. No, it was him. It was all him. I do see this little flutterer. Cute. Why can't more mobs be like you? I then come across this underground citadel. I thought at first that it might be a stronghold. I even see a library down here. It's got some books, which makes me happy. Remember, those are my new thing. Now, what is not my thing is cave spiders. Witches, cave spiders, centipedes, cooties, anything that's poisonous, I hate it. I fight my way to the spawner and pop. No time to try to stop and collect this one. Then, while I'm down here, I get another pillager raid. Right in the middle of this place. And an illusioner on top of that. I gotta say, I've really had enough of this place. I get back up to the lush cave and towards the Waystone, and I really think about heading out. But I know there's one big central room of the ruins here that we still have to clear. This big, 2-story central room has a ton of good loot, but also a ton of spawners. I fight my way through, and I grab as much gold as I can. Now, why am I grabbing gold, you might be asking? Well, I've gone full smog mode here. I have no use for gold at all, but the pack rat inside of me says grab every last bit. I see this trap, and I dig behind it to defuse it, but the desync means that I open it without defusing it, and I almost lose my nice pick right here in the explosion. But we keep our mega pick, which is good, and even get another book out of all this. At this point, I basically have a small library in my pants. Oh, but if any cute girls ask, it's a big library. Tell them, don't lie. Tell them it's an above average size library. How about that? I just triggered the biggest silverfish trap I've ever seen. This dungeon has some good loot, but the real fun in here are all the tricks and the traps that are laid out for us. I fight my way and kind of get pushed back into this corner. Honestly, dying to these little silverfish would be a typical captain death, but just barely, not today. I grab a few more enchanted books, and I get rid of my sleeping bag. After all, sleep is for the weak, remember. I finally learned from my mistakes and decide to defuse the trap before grabbing these diamonds. Finally, we get back home, and I get our mountain of gold smelting up. Just feels good, you know? What really feels good is getting Bowie repaired. Now I have a ton of levels, and I'm trying to think if there's any way I could improve my bow even more. Maybe add punch 3? That's about the best bow we could get in Minecraft or better Minecraft. I continue my greedy streak, and I gamble on enchants trying to get a bow with better stuff, but it just isn't happening. I kind of waste all my levels and just managed to repair Bowie. I don't make him any better, but I can't be too upset. After all, I'd trade all my levels in the world for this bow right here. Plus, my enchanted book chest is looking pretty sweet. The only thing that's not looking too good is my new XP farm. Now that my plan to fill it with spawners is ruined, I'm just not getting into the mobs I want. But I'll have to worry about that on another day. Day 62, and I switch the furnaces over to iron because the gold is kind of just getting silly at this point. I decide I want to use the Waystone to destroy the Waystone, just like Thanos, and I head to the Mushroom Teleport. I then collect this Waystone and start a tiny little walk back over to the desert. I'm headed all the way to the ruins so that I can TP back home with my Waystone in my inventory. And here, you can really see just how deep down the ruins are. They're almost a full 100 blocks under the mountain. I do get a little greedy here again. I keep looking around the ruins, but I just end up getting an arrow right to my face. Yeah, I probably deserve that. Then, I find the most important item in the game. No, it's not more gold. I grab this little cutie right here in my bucket. I'm gonna rush to take him home right now. Back home, I quickly craft up an aquarium block from Better Minecraft and clear out some space in my house to set him down. Hey, little guy. Tell me in the comments, what do you think I should name him? I'm leaning toward Axel, but I'm sure you guys can do better than that. I'm heading out to find the location of the new map marker, but I think I gotta make a new sleeping bag for my travels. On the way back out the second time, I see this little cutie struggling in the middle of the lake. I run ashore and I get some seeds, then head back to the lake center to help her out. Now, I'm tempted to call this little one Polly, but I know you guys can think of a better name than that. Every time I see this beautiful mountain home, I gotta say, man. I'm headed to bed with my new friends keeping an eye on me. And in the morning, I see that they're all looking pretty comfy. What's not so comfy is my armor. It's getting a little bit old. I'm thinking it's time to grab some new diamonds when I see a spawner down in this cave. I quickly grab it and hold on to it, because this one is close enough where I could just walk it back home. Now, finally, I can start to make my favorite build. I set down the spawner and dig into the XP farm. Oh, look around. No mobs. Big surprise. I then set down the first spawner over here in this corner. Yeah, that's right. I said first spawner. Then I torch it all up and I head to bed. We're going to need a new source for spawners, and I was hoping there'd be a couple more down here in this cave where I found the first one, but I can't find any. So now it's time for plan B. Oh, I guess this is like third plan. So plan C? If we can't silk touch spawners or waystone them home, we can still nether highway them. Then, just as I have a little bit of hope thinking about that, I see the centipede from the beginning, and his wife too. Alright, well I hope you two have a beautiful honeymoon in heaven. Oh, and speaking of HE double hockey sticks, I head into my original nether portal. While I'm here, the only thing I need to do is screenshot the coordinates so that I know where to head when I open up my second portal. -38 by 77 is pretty easy though. I head to bed a little bit defeated, but I have a new plan and a little bit of hope. On day 66, I try to get some of that armor repaired. I managed to fix up my helmet and my boots. Fire protection, that's going to come in handy. I repair everything I can at the anvil, and now I have a pretty good set of diamond enchanted gear. Then, I jump into my boat, because I'm pretty sure that I remember that there was a battle tower closer to my spawn. I check my map really quick. Yep, I see it right up there. And now I'm back to slipping and sliding back across the ice. I see this little guy. I actually stop here for a minute, and I consider sending him through the Nether highway and trying to bring him home, but he's just too cool for that. Does that count as a dad joke? Guys, I'm trying so hard to hold him back, I promise. One thing I will not be holding back on is my collection of blossom trees. This one is a blue frosty blossom, and I love it. Then, sure enough, we find the battle tower. Now we just need to set up a portal fairly close. We throw this one right out front, and we're almost ready for Operation Spawnathon. But first, let's sleep. On day 67, I head into the Nether, and I see something called a Netherite monstrosity. That's pretty cool. I think I can even see his fortress over there on the horizon. Before I go and mess with that, I see that I'm only 50 blocks by about 60 blocks away from my original portal. Good news. Not so good news is that the first portal is actually across a huge open ravine of lava and death. So I need to build a bridge over the super death, all while that fortress is right there on the horizon. Cool. Well, sure enough, I do manage to build a path. And soon, I find that very first portal. I reinforce the path and make it a little bit wider with a few handrails. But after all, this is a very short path, so I think I should be pretty safe. Then we head back out to the battle tower. Now, let's go up here and see what we're working with. The first floor, I can get it cleared out pretty quickly, and it turns out it's a spider spawner. This is kind of not great for RXP farm design, but beggars can't be choosers at this point, so this spawner will have to do for a start. I run into the Nether, and with no problem at all, I managed to get across the bridge and all the way back to my home portal. I take this into the XP farm, and it's looking like my plan might actually work out after all. So for the next few days, we're going to be heading back into the Nether, back over to the battle tower portal, and then we're going to have to fight our way back up the tower. I get to the next floor, which is easy with our diamond gear. What's not so easy is dealing with the fact that it is once again a second spider spawn. I got more mixed emotions seeing this than when your crush tells you she likes you, but more as a friend. But I don't need my crush right now. I'm already getting enough sucking from this big guy. Inside the Nether here, when my hands are occupied, they are the most dangerous part of this entire plan, because I can't fight them while I'm holding the spawners. But irregardless, I managed to get the third spawner home. Irregardless? Or is it just regardless? Anyway, unirregard-ishlessly, I am making good progress. I head once again back to the battle tower and get one more spawner. I see that I brought one of those suckers through with me. Now at this point, I might make some kind of joke like, buy me dinner first, but I'm a 100k YouTuber? That's below me now? I have to fight my way through a ton of zombies, but this is actually a good sign. This means that the next floor is almost certainly a zombie spawner, and that's much better than a spider spawner. But it's getting late, and I don't need night mobs on top of the battle tower mobs, so let's get a little snowy sleep. Day 69, and as previously stated, I'm simply too mature to make any jokes about today. I fight through this crazy room of skellies and zombies, but finally manage to grab the spawner. Sadly, I bring a zombie with me. He decides to celebrate day 69 by poking me in the butt. Man, you're worse than those mosquitoes. I use my bow to blow a load in his face, and then I start to head back home. Now that we have a total of 4 spawners, I could say this XP farm is looking nice. I could just call it a day, but I think we can do better. I head back to the battle tower one more time. Sure enough, this floor has a skelly spawner. When it comes to an XP farm, skellies are the best spawners, like I said, so this makes me really happy. What doesn't make me happy is seeing the Vex. This confirms that every battle tower ends with a Vex spawner. And at this point, the skelly spawner will probably be our last one. I still have 3 more spots to fit spawners. I really want them all filled, and I start to get a little greedy here too. I head back to the Nether, and I see that I only have 7% on my chest plate. I shouldn't mess around with the Vex looking like this. Let's turn around. And so, we head to bed to end a day that was indeed nice. I dig down into a new mine next to the portal and find diamonds right away. Then we come across another underground citadel. I see another spawner, but it's a cave spider spawner. It might not be a great ad, so I decide to pop this one real quick instead. That's not so good. But what is good is that this little side cave right here has some diamonds and a spawner of its own. I grab the diamonds and then decide that this spawner is an easy ad, so let's pick it up and head back up top. One thing I can say about Better Minecraft is it definitely seems to have a lot more spawners in the world. And since you have carry on, I really recommend that you build some kind of XP spawner farm. I go through today, I disenchant some of my old gear, but don't quite get to level 30. However, I see that we have Thorns 2 at level 30, so I decide to wait. After all, soon we're going to have like unlimited XP from our super farm. I throw a little egg for luck, then we head back down to find more spawners. Now the good news is, we find some more diamonds really fast. The bad news is, well, the bad news will come in a little bit. First, I decide to grab the cave spider spawner after all. It can't be worse than normal spiders, right? I bring it back up top and then set it down. Now we only need one more spawner to finish up the build. I then head back down to loot the very bottom of the citadel. And down here, the loot is starting to get really good. A good amount of diamonds, sharpness 2, can't complain about that, and here we even find a book for sharpness 4. But then, well, remember how I told you the bad news was coming? I get trapped down here because some more pillagers spawn up in the upper levels. I need to fight my way up. Now, don't tell Padme about this, but I do kill the women, and the children too. But I end up paying for my dark side axe, because as I'm trying to take off my armor, I can't get it off in time. I lose my diamond chestplate. I don't care how many diamonds you have. Feels bad, man. Now, my pants are getting super low too, so I really need to leave. At the end of the day, I managed to get back to my base, and finally, I am at level 30. I get to fix up my chestplate, and at least here, I get a little bit lucky. I get Thorns 2, and the enchants on the new chestplate are even better than the old one in every way. As for my pants, I decide I'm not going to risk it anymore. I may not have a set of a full 8 spawners in my farm, but 7 is more than enough to get at least 3 levels. So I start to set down some of the water in the farm so that everything will move down to the center hole. I replace the weak pants with my unenchanted pants until I can get them fixed, and I head back into the battle tower for the very last spawner. And I run up, and I'm in such a panic at this point, eating golden apples and trying not to die, that I don't realize that this is obviously a Vex spawner, and it's not going to work in my style of XP farm. But if there is a bright side, I do manage to get a few more levels from farming the Vex. I managed to get all the way up to level 29, and even get to see the Aurora on my way back home. Finally, I realized something. I've had an extra spawner this whole time. It was the spawner that inspired me to make the XP farm in the first place. I get the very first skelly spawner from across the river and set it up inside the brand new XP farm, making it complete. I then set up the rest of the water so that everything that spawns in here will run down into the center hole. Finally, I start taking off all the torches and get ready. I block up this little hole for here and seal everything up for now, and let's see just how well this farm works. In no time at all, I get level 30. I'm gonna say, good so far. The only drawback to this spawner is that we have spider spawners in it. So every once in a while, we need to shoot out all the spiders that don't drop down the well, and we can clear it out so that the other mobs can fall in as well. But hey, we have an infinity bow after all, so it's not a problem for me. On the start of day 74, I get a reward for all my hard work. A beautiful rainbow cascading over our base. And it really does top the whole thing off, I think. We spend most of the day on the grind, trying to get XP. I'll skip ahead to the part where we do the enchants, but yeah, big wins with the chestplate and again with the pants. I even push it all the way to day 75, and although I'm spending a lot of time down here in the XP farm, I'm really pushing some of the best endgame enchants at this point. And I'm starting to head to bed, but just before I hit the hay, I decide to hit the dance floor. I craft up a jukebox, and I start to listen to some of the brand new, better Minecraft songs. There's TikTok. Just about as bad as IRL TikTok. But the Cinders is fine. It's kind of relaxing. Then finally, crickets for when I tell my next dad joke. Day 76, and I try to shoot at the spiders from down below, but yeah, I would not recommend doing this. We quickly grind up to level 30, and I know I should probably prioritize my helmet, but I see that I can get sweeping edge. I want to use this to keep all the big numbers of mobs back. Then we get to level 30 again, and I know I really should do my helmet, but guys, I see efficiency 4 from a pick, and it turns out it gives me fortune 3. Yeah, I'm taking that. We then get to level 30 for a third time today. And finally, I decide to make my mega helmet. Unbreaking 3, Aqua, Blast Protection 2, Respiration. That night, I stay up, and we really do get to see just how powerful this new XP farm is. I go from level 7 to 25 without a single swipe. Then I get a big XP boost all the way up to 30. Feels good. This feeling right here reminds me of the first time I ever made an XP farm. It almost feels like you're kind of cheating at Minecraft. I love it. Day 77, and with all this really good gear, I decide it's time to take my rightful place as the true captain of these seas. I'm going to work on this quest out of my book and hunt down Deadbeard. And yes, I'm going to do it in this tiny little raft. Don't judge. I start moving around and finding all the beaches I can. I really want to get this netherite apple. We're going to need it for our final battle. But I keep on moving down the beach and see nothing. Then I keep moving down more beach and see more nothing. I find this little boat, but I got a feeling that this isn't the boat I'm looking for. My dead beard is on another boat. There's nothing too crazy here, but I do find a map and a spawner. Those are like my two favorite things in the world. But I do decide I've had enough spawners for a while. I drop this one off and I pop it. I've got enough spawners, no need to be greedy. Instead, I'm going to head towards this ship right here. I'm hoping that this would be Deadbeards. But first, I need to fight off something much worse than pirates. Seagulls. Maybe the worst mob yet. They can steal your food right out of your inventory. Then they fly around in circles and, well, you know me, I have trash aim, so I know this hurts your eyes to look at, but trust me, it hurts me just as much. We do eventually get them, though. What is kind of nice is that we find this little beach shack right over here. We find a little cake made with love, and we head to bed. Now, while I can't find Deadbeard, I can find this treasure, because we're super close. In fact, it ends up that it's basically all the way back at that river that leads us home. So now we start to dig down, I mean really dig. I gotta say, for a captain, I am not good at finding these treasures. Anyway, soon we find it, and it's got the normal treasury stuff, you know. But it's also got a new music disc, and this is the thing I really want. So we get back home, and we set down our cake, made with love. Then I get to listening to our new jam. This one here is by far the best song yet. Perfect mix of old school Minecraft, beach vibes, with a little bit of upbeat. It's pretty much my perfect theme song. But sadly, no time for beach vibes, as we're headed back into the Arctic cold. I head north through the ice, trying to find even more beaches. Under the ice, I find this underwater village. It's pretty cool. It kind of makes you wonder, what happened here? What's the lore? Sadly though, there's no real loot down here. Really, it's just fun world building. What does have some good loot is that floating island. I get to the nearest ice and I set down a sleeping bag and take a chilly little nap. Day 79, and I follow this rainbow all the way to a piece of the iceberg closest to the island. Then I start to build my way up. Now, this would be scary being way up in the sky like this, but I mean, we know for a fact there's only water down below us. Finally, I get over to the island, which has a ton of good ores. I think with my Fortune 3 pick, I managed to get a total of like 15 diamonds from just this one island. But also, maybe more valuable, is the view from up here. I could totally see myself doing 100 days of Skyblock. For now, let's take the icy plunge and jump. I find this North Tundra, and in it, I find this little shore village. This is one of the biggest villages that I've seen in my entire playthrough so far. And while I'm here, I start thinking, one of my main quests is to defend a village from a raid. I remember the first time I defeated a raid in vanilla with my viewers on Twitch, and it was so much fun. I really want to relive that and try to do it again. But first, in order to do that, we're going to need the voluntary exile buff, or kind of more like a debuff. Anyway, we travel on to this hunter's post. We kill the pillagers here, but no luck. All we managed to find here is some more steaks and a little place to sleep. Day 80, and with only 20 days left, I better hurry if I want to get this big last boss fight in. I keep heading up north, using this Pumpkin Patch River, and I'm hoping I can find some more beaches up here. Maybe I'll finally find Deadbeard after all. But soon I find something else. On my mini-map, I see a ton of pillagers. And soon, just over the horizon, I see another pillager battle camp. This one will surely give me exile. But first, I'm going to have to deal with this new skirmisher pillager. These are kind of like Vindicators, only, well, maybe a little bit weaker. Just then, I can see the rest of the raiding party coming out, and I have to cut them off. Then, we get our first real good fight. We keep shooting each other back and forth, but they don't have enchanted diamond armor, so this is a pretty easy fight. Then, I bulldoze my way right up into the camp, and I start to pick off all the skirmishers. I'm way stronger than the last time I took on one of these camps. I didn't even need to poke a hole through and try to pick people off before walking in here. I can just push my way right into the front door. However, turns out this camp was clearly more prepared for raiding, because I get chased out by a Ravager. I have to be a little bit tricky here, and that was a good kill, but I know there's still one more Ravager somewhere in these pens. I get this one to chase me away again, and I manage to burn it down. I start looting the camp, and then I set down a sleeping bag right in the center. Nothing says I'm your new dad like sleeping in someone's house. Don't think about that too much. On day 81, I take a quick look at my map to see just how hard it will be to get all the way back to the shore village. It's pretty close, but there's some unexplored space in between us. So, let's go explore it. I jump into my boat and start heading down the shore on the east side. Then the clouds set in, and once again, I'm crawling through the snow. Now I gotta say, this kind of makes me sad. I'm looking at all these poor pumpkins, they didn't get picked before the snow came in. I guess that means there's no spooky season for them. On the minimap, I think I see what looks like a little turtle, so I go over to say hello. And well, yep, that is not a turtle. I get grabbed by this chompy chomp boy, and I barely get out. Even with all my armor, gators are still pretty dangerous. After being slightly embarrassed by that, I decide the only way to feel better is to climb up to this next floating island and get a bunch more diamonds. Way up in the sky here, I decide to build myself a little platform so that no ores or diamonds will fall into the deep dark void below. And I start mining. I mine up everything that I want, and then I decide that this new sky island is going to be my bedroom tonight, and I go to sleep way up here. Day 82, and I'm high enough to see the entire rainbow. Also, I'm really far up in the sky. Okay, time for that big jump again. I head over to the Tundra village, but just before going in, I decide that I really want to get all my gear repaired. This could be a big fight, and I don't want anything to break down. Plus, I have 33 levels and a ton of diamonds. So I skip, and I jump all the way across the ice and make my way back home. Soon, we get a new helmet and a new set of boots. The boots are looking really good. I still have a lot of levels, so I get an enchant on my helmet too. In the end, we get a helmet with fire, water, earth, and air. And these boots too, with their fire protection 4, are gonna be really big. But for now, we spend the rest of the day just getting levels. Then we head to bed. Day 83, and I decide to stay here and get a little bit more XP. I'm not scared of the raid and stalling for time. No, who told you that? I'm thinking at this moment that the bow is going to be our best weapon here. I'm probably going to need to lean on it pretty heavily. So, I'm going to focus on getting repaired up to 100%, but I might as well see if I can get any other enchants on it at the same time. I gotta admit though, as I'm trying to figure out how I can use my XP to get the perfect bow, I'm slowly seeing that my bow is pretty much the best I could ask for. I'm still trying to make better bows, because with the skelly spawners, I get free bows, and with the XP coming out of the farm so fast, it really doesn't take that much time to get to level 30 over and over and over again. Finally, at the end of the day, we do get our bow back to full health, and the stats are still Power 4, Punch 2, Breaking 3, Flame, and Infinity. Just before the sun sets, we head out to get close to the village, but I'm not going to rush in there at night. I'm making myself a little cave cove and going to sleep. Now, at the start of day 87, we're going to have all day to fight this raid. The villages in Better Minecraft have guards, so that should help. Let's see what Better Minecraft raids really look like. Not too bad so far, so let's start shooting them. Oh, well alright then. Looks like I forgot to bring arrows. Oh, whoops. I got ready for 2 whole days and forgot to bring arrows. Cool. I get lucky though. The first archer I chopped down dropped some arrows, so with the infinity bow, this should work out okay. Now as for the raiders themselves, this isn't too crazy. It mostly looks pretty similar to the pillager camps, but I think I might have heard an explosion over there. Anyway, the first wave was easy. Now onto the second wave. And we get pretty lucky here too. The raiding party spawns on the cliffs over the water. They'll be stuck bobbing around, so I can safely use my bow to wipe out the entire wave. I start looting and see that the next wave is already coming in. And this time it gets a little bit more spicy. Armored pillagers and ravagers are coming over the hill. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure we definitely lost some guards in the first fight, and now I'm going to have to retreat. I see what looks like the Spanish Inquisition. Gotta say I didn't expect that. Then I see these little Ravager puppies called Savagers. Sort of sad that I had to shoot this one. Then I see an Electromancer, but I'm not going to wait around to find out what he does. Bye-bye. Okay, wave 3 down. The next one might be a little scary. I decide to wait for the last raider and block up some survivors to keep them safe. Then I empty my inventory out in a chest to make a little room, and I find Waldo. Been eluding me since I was a kid. Anyway, we kill the last skirmisher that had gotten stuck here, and we wait for the next attack. This time, I can see there's an entire army of armored warriors. Well, I could see it. This wave also has an illusioner who blinds me. I need to pop a golden apple just to be safe, and really need to retreat this time. I'm on the edge of the village, firing back at the horde, and I just see it pouring down the mountain. One of the pillagers looks like he was breathing fire, and I see mini creepers. What? Then I see these legionnaires. Their shields mean that I can't shoot them with arrows from far away. I have to get up close and personal and finish them off face to face. As night falls, the battlefield is looking pretty chaotic. Loot and fire arrows everywhere. Speaking of chaos, this is a griefer, and he's the pillager who's spawning in the creepers. He's the one that was making those explosions earlier. I take him down, and then I start to hit the Vindicators and the last witches. I even see a Vile Witch at the very end of the raid. I take him down, and I try to sleep, because another wave is coming. I sure don't need any mobs coming out at night on top of whatever's coming next. Day 86, and I see the worst part of any raid, an evoker. Looks like those Vexes are still coming for me. Vex from the sky, mini creepers from the ground. I've really got my hands full here. Plus, this entire wave is now wearing diamond gear. This is really getting out of hand. I just keep firing and firing. I can't let up. I can see out of the corner of my eye, though, there are still a few guards that are putting up a good fight. But I can't see how they're going to last much longer against diamond gear. Soon, I see a few of them falling. I'm finally breaking through. Just at the end here, I see this jester. He TP's right behind me. Woof. I keep fighting the diamond gear pillagers, but I get a little break here. I see a totem of undying. Yes, I just need to keep eating golden apples, and this totem should help me get through all this. Then I see a brand new mob, the Executioner. He has a massive sword, and he practically takes no damage. I managed to trick him a little bit here, though. By getting him in the water, I can take him down. Then the Griefer, then the Evoker. There's only one witch left, or at least that's what I thought. Then I see I have another wave. How could this get any tougher? I see a couple of Evokers, and they have speed, tons more mini creepers, and legions of legionnaires. I'm pushed back all the way to the very end of the dock. I'm practically in the sea, and now I'm forced to jump in the water. It's a desperate fight, and the night's coming. I have to keep on using golden apples and running around. But if there is any upside, I see that the pillagers are dropping diamond gear, and the raid meter is getting pretty low. Only a few left, but one of those few is a trickster. I jump after him as quickly as I can. Then, finally, this Executioner. I think this might be one of the last really tough ones we have to kill. But soon, I'm blinded again and swarmed by Vex. I try to run away with one little last bit of health, but it's no good. I have to pop a totem. Wow. I keep on thinking about what if I didn't have one of these? Oh, it doesn't matter, because I do. I still have a chance to finish the 100 days. I see this last Evoker and rush in with blind rage. I hate these guys so much. I use the Executioner's blade against them, and I slice him down. Finally, that night, I get the very last raider. Only to see, yep, that's right, another wave. At this point, I'm really contemplating what I'm supposed to do here. This might be a lost cause. I'm getting ready to retreat if I really need to. But I am going to put up one last fight. If I lose another totem, though, I'm out. I really need to save these totems for the last fight of the 100 days. And this wave, sure enough, has fully kitted diamond gear warriors. They're coming with a vengeance. I'm running back and shooting as much as I can. I have to eat golden apple after golden apple. I see more mini creepers. I see this guy who breathes fire. I see Ravengers and more. I have to go underwater to try to avoid the burn damage, and I slice this guy down. Also, I'm using this big blade to get the Legionnaires, then switch over to the bow to kill the Griefer. But soon, I'm really starting to get a grip, and I begin pushing back in towards the center of the town. But soon, I start to get a grip. I begin my push back into the center of town. I see another Executioner and trap him in the water again. I finish him off face to face, Then I see an evoker. I unload everything I have at this guy and take him down as quick as I can. Then I see another executioner, and another evoker, and another witch, and another trickster. I break them down as much as I can. Then I just have one last fight. I keep pushing back and juggling this executioner. I'm going full send, taking him down, and finally we broke the raid. All that's left now are some stragglers, and I managed to take a little nap. On day 88, I see that there are only 2 left when the raid indicator disappears. I even kill the last 2 raiders, but it doesn't give me credit in my quest book for the win. But you know what? I don't really mind. After all, this raid gave me so much top tier loot, even if I don't get the quest completed, it was worth it. We get totems, I think 3 in total. We get this great Executioner's Blade. With all this stuff, I'm thinking we're ready for our final fight. I start to collect all the loot I can, I grab the chest, and that night, I take it all back to my house. I get to see it one more time, all lit up at night. Still amazing. I get to my anvil, and I repair the Executioner's Blade. I'm not going to be able to craft this myself, so I better take good care of it. Then, we head to bed. Victorious. Feels good. Day 91 already, and today, we're going to make a ton of iron picks. We have one last goal before the 100 days is over. We head to the Nether, because like I said, we're going to be mining up some Netherite gear. Now that I think about it, I don't actually think I've mined ancient debris since since it was released for vanilla. I mean, I've been playing so much 1.12. Then I come across this Nether mine shaft, which is pretty cool. And of course, inside of it, we find our very first piece of ancient debris. But also, I see out of the corner of my eye, it looks like another miner. I get close and whew, looks like a ghost. Creepy. No thank you, not a fan. I stay down here for an entire extra day. And I gotta say, I kind of forgot how tough it was to find ancient debris. Luckily, I gave myself 10 days to find some. Plus, we are gonna get a little bit extra for doing those trades with the fire goblin. By day 93, keep on mining. All the while, I see the health bar of a netherite monstrosity. And if you guys haven't figured it out by now, well, I think you guys all know where this playthrough is gonna end. We've got our 4th piece of ancient debris. Now we can go harass the fire golem. Just like that, we now have 5 pieces of scrap. That's almost too good. By day 94, we can now start to pile up some real debris, till we get another 5. Now we can go trade up, and we end up with a total of 10 scrap. We even have an extra piece of debris now too. Now, it's getting pretty close to the end of the 100 days. So, sadly, we might not be able to make a full netherite set, because I'm only able to find 1 more piece of debris right now. That's going to make a total of 12 scrap though, which means we can make 3 bars of netherite. So we can make at least some netherite gear. The thumbnail might be a little bit of a clickbait after all. However, now we end up in a nightmare scenario that no Minecraft player ever wants to have to deal with. Which piece of your armor do you pick to make netherite first? So of course, I pick the pick. But still, I haven't fully committed to it yet. So, on day 96, we do a bit more XP grinding. Now that we have all the levels, we can upgrade our helmet, because I'm really loving this head hat. Then finally, we have our first piece of netherite gear. The drip is elite. We then do our pick, after all, and finally, our chest plate. So now at least our upper body looks good, but sadly, we did skip leg day. So now I feel strong enough for our last big boss battle. But first, sleepies. Day 97, and we head into the fray. I go down into the Nether, and I move towards what looks like a massive smoking forge. I see the achievement. Sure enough, Blacksmith of Souls. I peek down, and I don't quite see the monstrosity just yet. I try to build my way down, trying to get down to the ground floor, when I see this. That guy in the blue flames, I think that's him. I'm gonna have to keep my eye on that. But first, I hear some more pillagers. Looks like we haven't quite finished with them yet. Turns out, there's one last Vindicator spawner down here. After putting a torch on that, I slowly sneak onto the ground floor. But sneaking was no good, because we've alerted the netherite monstrosity. He's starting to move around, and I've got to run to the back and get my bow ready. Right away, he spits 3 magma blocks that hit the ground and turn into lava, flooding the ground. We fire back as much as we can, and we start hitting the monstrosity. But the health bar is barely moving. I manage to sort of get him stuck on the central pillar, but he spits even more lava. Now I need to run away and change my plan again. Then he charges at me and melees. He blasts half my health with 1 hit. I pop an apple and turn to hit him, but then I take another big hit. Every time I take a hit like that, I need to pop an apple. I can't go through these this fast. With all of the lava he's throwing, I have less and less space to run around, and he's getting a ton of hits in on me. I need to keep moving. I managed to get him stuck on the second pillar again. Now we just need to keep him there and keep the pressure on. I just keep on firing. And then, we did it. Bowie for the win. And our reward for this is that we get some new loot. The Infernal Forge and the Monstrous Horn. Finally, we get even more debris because this stuff is literally all over the forge here. But first, let's give ourselves the ultimate reward and get the true top elite gear, the Monstrous Helm. By combining a Netherite helmet with this horn, it makes this beast of an item. But when it comes to our elite gear, we're not quite done yet. We're going to be going around and collecting the last bit of ancient debris. There's 2 right here in this forge. There's one on top of the blacksmith, above where the monstrosity was. Then there's like 4 of them inside of this secret room I broke into. This brings our total of ancient debris from this blacksmith alone up to 8. I gotta say, this is a pretty amazing place in Better Minecraft. And I'm not even done, because I'm gonna take the pillager spawner with me too. On day 99, we get the spawner back home, and I break out one of the spider spawners to replace it. Then, with doing a little bit of experimenting, I find out that the Infernal Forge can make an AoE explosion with every one of its strikes. So it's pretty good. And finally, we get our pants and even our boots upgraded to Netherite. Now, we just have one last thing to do. Crank up our tunes, get our best gear out, and chill in the library while we celebrate 100K subscribers. I really can't thank you guys enough. Seriously, thank you guys so much. I'm really hoping that you all love my channel and you love my videos, because I love making them and I love having you be part of my channel. Thank you.